But so in the background. That's perfect. Hey, welcome to Office Hours, everybody. Sorry, I am running late. Hopefully, you got the message in the group that I was going to be a little bit behind. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your patience. Christopher, the mystery man, is here. Thank you for your patience. Oh, Scott, good to see you, sir. Brock, good to see you. Steve, good to see you. Welcome, everybody. You can see I'm in a little bit different background, a little bit different environment today. This is our co-working space in the North Park neighborhood of San Diego, and we've got some meetings and a lunch happening here, so I hustled down here for that today. So we're doing a call from here, and I will have to end, I think, right at noon, or maybe just a few minutes after. So just a heads up, that will be a little bit shorter here today. So I apologize also for the reschedule today, because I'm traveling the rest of the week. So glad we could squeeze it in, and thank you for being here. Mr. Robert Brennan, good to see you, sir. Awesome. For those of you who don't know the routine, office hours is pure Q&A. Yeah, you like that? I was happy to see that back there, Brock. I didn't write that. Somebody else did. That makes me happy to see. Sell, sell, sell. That's the idea. These calls, for anybody who's new, these calls are pure Q&A. I don't have an agenda for you. Only agenda is to try and help out if I can. Thank you, Carlos. Awesome. Good to see you, sir. And so you can put questions in the comments. I'll field them as they come. And I'm also going to put a link right now into the comments. So if you want to join me on camera, if you have any questions that need longer discussion, more context, that type of thing, much easier to do that in an actual conversation if you're comfortable joining me on camera than it is just responding to something in the comments. Like I said, if it's longer and has more context, if it's a relatively simple, straightforward question, then putting in the comments is just fine. So yes, absolutely. Brock, go for it. Says, I have a question about the automations and where they fit in the R6. Yes, please fire away, Brock. And I will, come on camera when you get a moment, and we'll go through it. I'll also make sure and check questions inside of the community here today as well. And anybody else that has questions, go ahead. You can start firing them into the comments. How are you, sir?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. It's good to see you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm with a broken leg, so a little bit, behind on.
Are you
Yeah,
really? Oh
yeah,
no. Yeah.
backpacking with some weight on my back, and my leg was stuck in a gopher turtle hole, like about a foot
Oh,
deep hole, and
oh,
pushed me forward.
oh, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah, I know.
brutal. Well, I hope you heal up fast.
Thank you so much. Anyway, I have a question. It's a little bit more theoretical, right? I want
Okay.
to understand. So I know I can brush it off, but I do want to understand. I
Sure.
do understand the R6 method and so on, but
Yeah.
some of the um, some of the automations are labeled in a way that I couldn't really figure out. For example,
Okay.
uh, co- like like let's say somebody like a contact books an appointment.
Yeah.
You put it under, I think, under reliability. I would put it under the readiness or something like that. Just to kind of like grease things up. Making sure. I grabbed two. I was about to put it on the group. I
Uh-huh.
didn't realize that we have the call scheduled differently.
Okay.
You want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let
Let
me
me
do it.
see. I might have to enable it. No, I think you
Hold
can
on.
just go ahead and share
Let me see how I do that. Just a second.
it.
I have several things going on. Um,
And I would say, Brock, while you're trying to figure that out, I would just answer for the benefit of the group here a couple of things. One, entirely likely that we mislabeled it. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. So use your judgment. I would also say that there are times when you could label something one thing or the other. And again, use your judgment. Somebody on our team used their judgment to say, okay, I think this is readiness versus, reliability, or reliability versus readiness. So as an example, if the automation is for if the
Sorry.
automation, that's okay, is for some sort of reliability service, but it's a follow-up sequence to a new lead that is in that reliability sequence, you could call it readiness, because what you're doing is responding to something that, somebody's coming in for a new lead. But if it's related to the reliability service, maybe they kept it as, reliability. So in all of these things, I would say don't treat them as if they're set in stone. And anything that you want to update to make sure that it makes sense for you, as long as you have consistency in your approach, so that you're going to, pretty easily be able to find things and update things, then all good.
No, I want to be able to answer clients' questions. Hopefully, I didn't sign up anyone yet, but
Yep,
I want to also, and with your permission, I'm actually creating my own names for that.
of
You know,
course.
uh,
That's exactly what I would hope you would do. Absolutely.
excellent. So let me go to that. So you see my screen, for example. This is just an
Uh-huh.
important confirmation. I would put it under readiness and not under reliability personally. Let me show you the other thing that I was looking at before that. It was like, for example, uh, like follow up on a lead. Let's say it's a lead magnet or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I would think it's remarketing, just nurturing leads and stuff like that. Doesn't it fall under remarketing then rather than readiness?
Again, whatever makes sense to you is fine. To me, I understand why it's readiness. But again, whatever makes sense to you and it's going to make it easiest to find, remember, organize. The whole point of having a naming structure here is simply to make it easy for you to find what you need to work with and update, and not have you on a wild goose chase. I want you to be able to look at the name and have an understanding of what it is. And so if, for the sake of consistency, you say, hey, it should be this other thing to me, awesome.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that I didn't misunderstand or something like that. Because if you would say something like, "No, we put a lot of thought in that," so then maybe I got some wrong idea about the different definitions. Definitely, I know I can rename it whatever I want. I just want to make sure that, and some things can fall under two things,
Mhm.
under like, yeah, it can
Totally.
be reliability and setup and stuff like that. The way I
Yep.
see that. The
Yep.
way I want to do that, but by the way, the way I'm thinking of doing that is almost like, I don't think I'll put anything under reliability, because that's on them. Everything is
Yeah.
under, if I want that to become like fast moving and stuff like that, that's under readiness for me. And also
Yeah.
targeting
And
or reach, it's like very few things can fall under reach, because, well, that's different. When we get the leads,
that's
then we
outside of
do
the system. Yeah.
exactly.
Reach is generally outside of high level. It's ads, it's social content, things like that.
Exactly, and then we
Um,
get them, and it's remarketing and reselling and stuff like that.
yeah. And so, Brock, let me, just for the benefit of explaining why that lead magnet follow up is readiness to us, is because readiness is to me and to my team, readiness is the ability to respond quickly to somebody who's interested in making contact, whether that's through AI chat, whether that's a phone call,
Yeah,
or a lead magnet follow up. So when somebody opts in for a lead magnet, you want to deliver right away. And typically, if it's a B2B sales process, you also want to do the chase formula style follow up to try and get them on a call as quickly as possible. And all the statistics show that there needs to be that short term press right after the lead magnet to give you the best chance at then getting somebody further along into the sales process immediately, getting a conversation, doing some qualification. So remarketing the term that you said, hey, wouldn't this be remarketing? To our team, remarketing would be more of a nurture that happens in the longer term instead of that short term sprint. So I would expect in my mind that when I go into that workflow, the things that are in that workflow are happening almost immediately, probably from 0 minutes to 7 days, like max. Versus if it were a nurture sequence, it would be something that I would, or a remarketing, it would be something that I would be expecting happening in the months following and could go on indefinitely.
Right. Okay. So since I changed the names, it's not exactly remarketing. It's
Yeah.
more like it's more like, keeping the leads in the loop and stuff like that and nurturing
Yep.
them. So there is a certain seam between and some things are like, for example, contracts and invoices and stuff like that. Yeah, that falls under the readiness.
Uh-huh.
But everything handling the leads up to getting the leads up to them converting
Uh-huh.
to a customer, I have a different name than remarketing. So it's
Yeah.
basically nurturing
Cool.
the lead, you can say. So whenever I'm getting the lead and
Absolutely.
a lead magnet follow up, which you put under the readiness, I put it on that upper echelon. Okay,
Awesome.
that's fine.
Whichever words make the most sense to you to keep it organized, then that's perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Heal up fast. I wish you well.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Scott, how you doing,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah, good. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you. How can I help you?
Well, I just wanted to introduce myself. I actually just joined 2 days ago on Monday,
Oh, awesome. Welcome.
and coming under you was very intentional. A little background, and I hope this is the right venue for this because I just have a couple questions about
Sure.
how to work things. But for almost 20 years, I've been building my own all-in-one software platform.
Oh, wow.
Websites, e-commerce, the whole thing, and done almost all the programming myself for the last few years.
Wow.
So I've got a tremendous thing. The thing is, it hasn't been commercially available. I've been doing it with maybe 30 close clients, high
Got
demand
it.
clients. Anyway, I got to the point where looking at HighLevel, and I said, you know what? I ain't never going to match these guys. This is a
Man.
losing race. They're
Yeah.
like, screaming ahead. So I'm going to move all my people over to HighLevel.
That's
However,
awesome.
as you can imagine, given that I've been able to build whatever the heck I wanted the last 20 years, I
Yeah.
built a whole lot of really very cool stuff in there, especially in the e-commerce area and so forth. Anyway, what I want to do is I want to give a brain dump to the team there at corporate, and just say, here's all the things I've learned, because frankly, I'd like the platform to be able to step so I can bring all my clients over. Because right
Yeah.
now, there's quite a few I couldn't yet because it doesn't quite do everything they need.
Sure.
So what's the best way to do that?
I would say the best way to do that is most likely, I would say probably the best thing is to show up at the high level summit in October. Is it in October? Yeah. Which I know is a ways off. So that may not be your ideal answer, but I would think
No,
that that's,
that's too long.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to do this now. It partly is I'm this is a big step for me to move this thing
Yeah.
over and putting a lot of faith in the company. I know they're moving really quickly. At the
Yeah.
same time, there are certain ways you can do things, as I've learned, and I would like to be able to influence that process as soon as possible.
I don't know. I mean, you can, so they have their ideas board. I don't know if you've seen that in
Yeah,
high level yet. And so you can
yeah,
submit ideas and things like that. I mean, that's the at scale way. The more personal way is to get to know some of the senior people at high level. And I just don't know how that happens today, other than being at something in person where you can say hi and shake their hand real quick. And they're
mhm,
very, very open. They're the most
yeah,
approachable, um, not just approachable, but they want to hear from you. They
yeah,
absolutely want to hear from you. They're just
yeah,
so damn busy, as you can imagine, and have 10,000 people who all want to have their ear at any given day.
yeah,
And so, like I said, I think the best way is to get that in-person contact. The at scale way is to use that ideas
mhm,
capability, and then I would just reach out to them. I would just reach out to them personally on social. Like they're very like I said, they're very responsive, very open to hearing ideas. So I wouldn't, I would probably just reach out to each of the founders on social and just say, hey, new customer, hoping to get an opportunity to get, a brief conversation with you and share with you some thoughts.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I would say, Scott, is one, I think it's awesome that you're making the move to high level. I think it takes courage and guts to say, hey, I've been working on something this long and now I'm
Yeah,
gonna, do this
yeah,
instead. I can understand that that's kind of like, this is your
yeah,
baby. Um,
yeah,
so I think, you may also just find, hey, some of these clients are just not going to be a fit to move over,
yeah,
and that may just be
yeah.
reality. And I think that the mindset shift that I'm sure my guess is you've already done this and accepted this, but the
Mhm.
mindset shift of developing something that's perfect for these 30 clients is very different than the mindset that you want to have now selling high level,
Yeah,
which is the mindset selling high level is I've got this incredible system that's being designed for scale for millions of businesses, which means that it's got to be broad enough and it's not probably never going to be just right
sure.
for more than a small percentage of those businesses, but it's going to be damn good enough and damn valuable
Yeah,
enough that there's going to be millions of businesses on it and they're all going to get incredible value.
yeah,
Um, so um, you know that mindset though is incredibly important to everybody on this call, because what you want to be is a salesperson and a strategist to grow this
yeah,
business to its full potential and take full
yeah,
advantage of what high level can offer to all of us. You want to be a salesperson and a strategist. You don't want to be a custom developer. You don't want to be a custom service provider. You
right.
want to have hundreds or thousands of customers instead of 30. And that mindset shift is what gets you there. So
Okay.
just to
So I should
throw that
reach
out
out
there.
to you found Sean and who else?
Robin.
Okay.
Mhm.
And just on Facebook would be good.
Yeah, I think so. Facebook Messenger seems like they're active there.
Cool. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I
Yeah,
look forward to working with you. I really do.
absolutely. Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks
And
for coming on the call. Thanks for being here.
just the kind of things you said just now, in terms of the orientation and how you should look at that, that's just why I signed up with you. Because
Awesome.
you've got, I mean, you're not just jumping up and down and, you know, you really get what's truly going on with this whole process. And I just really appreciate
Yeah.
that. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it as well, Scott. Nice to
all
have
right.
you here, and I look forward to future interactions here.
Thanks a lot. I did leave a message, an email with your team yesterday morning that was me who did that, asking if I could
Okay.
talk to you. So anyway, you can
Okay,
ignore
cool.
that. All right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Thank you. All right. Have a good one, Scott.
you too.
All right, let's see here. We got some questions here. Carlos says, thanks for taking my question. You bet, Carlos. You mentioned last week that a good way to showcase some of the Go High Level features like AI employee, it would be to set up on your homepage as an example. Any other insights? Yeah, Carlos. I mean, I think that the absolute best thing that you can do to learn high level and to sell high level most effectively is to use it yourself for your own business and turn your business into a guinea pig. So, just take me as an example. When I decided that I was all in on high level, I moved everything I was doing. I mean, I had multiple businesses and I was using Teachable and ClickFunnels and Pipedrive and all these different things, and I moved them all to high level. That's taken time because not all of the features that I needed were there. So just like in Scott's situation, high level was not perfect for me. And so there were things that I still had in separate systems, but I committed myself to using it every day, because I don't want to be on these calls telling you every day that this is the system that you guys should be using if I'm not using it. That is not integrity, and I really believe in it. And so the more that you just, like I said, turn your business into its own little laboratory for using this stuff, the easier all of this is going to be for you. So, as an example, we put out some content recently on how to use the AI employee capability, how to sell it, how to market it. We put that inside of our high leverage agency membership area, and also inside of HighLevel Fast Start, because we think it's a great, quick win service. And that was all 100% from our experience. We've set up AI employee for their San Diego, our other, significant business that we run. And it's, you call our numbers and it's AI employee answering those calls now. And we did the setup, we did the testing. It's still a work in progress, of course, but we take what we learn and we share it with you. And if you do the exact same thing, if you take what you learn setting it up for your business, you document that, you record some quick little videos, you share those on social, you send them out in a newsletter to any prospects that you have, that type of thing, it's going to give you a different credibility, and it's going to give you a different a different degree of confidence in how you sell, because you're going to have experience with this stuff. You're going to know how it works. You're going to really understand the benefits, not just theoretically, but in application. That makes a huge difference in how you sell and your confidence. So, yeah, set this stuff up for real. Put it on your website and send out a marketing message to prospects saying, hey, this stuff is really powerful. Every small business should be using it. If you want to see why, call our business. Give our business a call. Not only are you going to get people that are experiencing it, but you're going to get new leads, right? You're going to capture information from those people. If you set it up right, it's gonna be asking, hey, tell me your number, tell me your name, tell me your email, tell me your phone number, and it's going to update your CRM with actual prospects. Some of those prospects are obviously not going to be buyers. Some of them are. So that goes for every feature. Missed call text back is an easy one to demonstrate. There's just anything where you can demonstrate a capability rather than just talk about a capability is going to be much more effective to help you sell. Okay, awesome, Carlos. Wow, hi from Baton. Cool, Jerry. Good to see you. Oh, hi from Boston. Good to see you, Jerry. That's different. I didn't think Baton was spelled that way, but Juan says, Scott, they also have monthly calls you can get on. I've heard it talked about, but can't remember how to join. Actually, you know what? Juan, thank you for mentioning that. Scott, I think they actually have daily calls. I think the development team actually has daily calls that you can hop on. And just check real quick. I don't have an immediate URL for you, but I'm sure that you can find it pretty quickly here poking around in the community. But I'm pretty sure that they actually have daily calls, Scott, that you can hop on. Again, you may not get for the things that you want to share, you may not get to the right person that way, but maybe a starting point to work your way there. Okay. Dawson says, have you ever used Notion before? I've used it briefly and it looks like it's got some potential. Yeah, Dawson, Notion's awesome. It's very, very popular. I have used it. It was not the thing for me. And the only reason why I say that is I am resistant to adopting new productivity tools at this point. Like, what I mean by that is I have Google Drive, I have Slack, I have Asana, I have my own to-do manager, for personal tasks. Um, I've out of those, I use Google Docs and I use Slack and my personal to-do manager every day. Asana, which is like a project management system, don't use at all anymore. In fact, I should just shut it down. I literally haven't used it in 9 months. For a while, we used that for a bunch, but what I have found personally is that my goal is to be as lean as I possibly can on systems like that. And I also have found that you almost always overestimate the value of productivity tools. You know what I mean? Is like we build up in our minds, like, oh, I'm going to have this perfect, project management and to do system. And then I'm just going to be efficient as shit. And I'm going to be knocking out projects left and right, and like, nothing's ever going to get missed. And then you realize, That's not true. It's another tool to manage, which adds overhead. And it's also less about the tool and more about how you were actually managing your time and managing your priorities and, all that stuff, right? I have accepted those realities in my life and realized that the far majority of any desire I have to get a new tool to get more efficient or more productive is actually just a reflection of the fact that I need to get my shit together. Um, that all being said, I do think that Notion is awesome. And I think that if you were starting from scratch today, Dawson, and you're saying, hey, I'm looking for a good system that I can do all of this stuff in one place to kind of keep, my future team organized, keep my to-dos organized, keep my notes organized, keep, because that's what Notion is, like this kind of blank canvas where you can do all these things. I think it's a really good option to look into. And had I not been already doing this and using Google Drive for the last, whatever, 20 years, I would seriously probably consider, if I was just starting today, Notion, or there's a couple of capabilities that are like that. Um, that I'm sure I would have probably started with those again if I was starting today. So I'm not trying to dismiss the value of it at all. And certainly a good idea to check into it if that's where you're at. Okay. Shane. Hey, Shane says, which one of your courses should I follow to focus on creating content? The Content Blitzkrieg, Shane. There's Content Blitzkrieg, and that is all about the process of how to produce the content, strategize and produce the content. Gives you a process all the way from literally brainstorming and strategy, major themes, major topics, all the way down to templates on how to create a how-to post or a, whatever kind of post. So it's meant to be pretty thorough and exhaustive. There's also a Blitzkrieg marketing campaign in there that is about how to promote the content, market the content. So that's a separate course, but you should have access to that, Shane, if you're in all access pass, mobiles, that type of thing. Okay. Let me know if you have any trouble with that. You can always, of course, email help at services that scale if you're having any problems with accessing any of those. And my team will make sure that you're getting all taken care of. Okay. Help at services that scale, you guys, anything, if you're missing course access, you got a billing issue, any of that type of stuff, please make sure that you are emailing that rather than trying to contact me personally. Contacting me personally tends to be a bit of a black hole. And I don't want you guys not getting the attention that you deserve. It's just I have team and systems set up to make sure that you get that. Okay. Got to keep it simple. Yes, absolutely. If you have time, I have another question, of course. Yes, sir.
Okay. Hi again. So
Hey.
just to get it straight, because when I'm speaking with someone, and
Mhm.
and talking to him about signature services, I don't know at that point what would be the setup fee for that until I do the
Mhm.
audit. And then I know I need to create, let's say, I need to create a lead magnet for him. I need to create so and so number of landing pages and so on. And then I can present it to him and say, look, from my estimation, we need about 30 automations, so and so number of landing pages and funnels and whatever. And then that would be, I don't know, $4,000, whatever.
Yeah.
But before that, how do you present it? Like, usually we our fees are between 300 and 700 per month. And there is a setup fee depending on what we'll find. And usually that's between 3,000 to 7,000, whatever. Is that
Yep.
how you go about
Is it-
that?
yes, exactly. That's what I always do. I always quote a range, and make sure that that range is realistic. Those numbers that you quoted, if those are the price of your services, then those are perfectly realistic ranges. But I always quote a range. Always ask, is that something that's in your budget? Something that you can work with, and then um, when it comes down to actually making your pitch, then there's different options that you can present on how they can actually pay for that. But that's what I always do is quote those ranges. I'm not, I'm not interested in working with anybody who, if I say there's a $2,500 cost because we're going to set up a website, all these automations, all that type of stuff, and they choke on that number. Okay, let's move on. Like I don't need to spend time with that person. So, as a prospect.
No. I totally understand. I just want to know
Yep.
what stage, because then when I do basically the strategy call and
Hmm.
get some data and stuff like that, at that time we only have a range,
Yeah.
so I'm getting basically the upfront contract
Yep.
on that range, not.
That's right.
And then afterwards, basically
You
there
get
is another.
specific.
There is another.
Yep.
Basically, the sales call is basically. It's like I'm doing. I know that's not the way I'm presenting it to the client, but it's like I'm doing the audit on my own time so that I can sell him, so I can get to the sell with numbers, and then he already is more prepared.
Yes. But for the benefit of you as you go into this, as well as anybody else who's listening and considering this, I would say, I would say this. That if you understand HighLevel and you have HighLevel set up properly in terms of snapshots and custom values, the amount of time that it's going to take you to set up everything, if you said that you wanted to set up everything for a customer, is not very long. And if you said that you had to set up one thing for a customer, it's not very long. The gap between those two things is not huge. The majority of the driver of the setup fee is to collect cash to cover your sales and marketing costs. That is the majority of it. And I should say, and to do a good healthy onboarding process, which would include the surge. Okay. But I would say that no matter what, if you look at the cost of acquiring a customer and the cost of doing like a good professional onboarding with training and things like that, you're probably between $2,000 and $2,500 no matter what. Even if you signed up somebody for a $99 service, a $99 a month service, you probably have $1,000 or $1,500 in sales and marketing costs included. Yeah. So the bare minimum number that you should at least be thinking about. I'm not saying that you should charge it every time, but to understand the mechanics and the financials of your business, you're probably $2,500 into getting a new customer. And then whether you charge that, zero, that, 4,000, 5,000, it's mostly a matter of how much of those costs are you trying to recover upfront and what's your strategy around that. For example, if I had a salesperson selling for me, I would want to recover as much of that as I could upfront because I would want to give it to them in commission to reward them for the deal right away so that we can have a salesperson that's excited to keep selling. So I would try and collect as much of that as I could. If it was me just bootstrapping my business and getting going, and I had a little more financial flexibility, or I just really need to get my first couple of wins, I would be more flexible on those payments just to get the train pulling out of the station.
Yeah, I totally get it, and I'm on that same boat with that. But there is, I mean, I understand your viewpoint of they will not now learn HighLevel and stuff like that. We need to set it up
Hmm.
for them. Here are
Hmm.
the things that I am thinking of including as part of my work on the surge that maybe I'm off. But for example, there are certain sequences that need to have emails written. Clients don't know how to write emails. Look, I had a call with someone, and he told me, well, why would I pay $400? HighLevel costs only 100. And I was telling him, look, I'm putting my intellectual property there. I'm building you your automations. You don't know how to build automations. You want to spend a few months just learning that, writing your emails. Do you know what?
Hmm.
Are you a copywriter and stuff like that?
Hmm.
And I was like thinking, like even just deciding on a lead magnet and building it, even though that we have AI, it's still a skill that both
Yeah.
of my knowledge of learning marketing, so I can do that and actually
Hmm.
using the tools that he doesn't know how to use.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
one thing. And then building up landing pages. I might need to hire a designer to make it pretty.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of like easy to put the blocks, it can look really crappy if I don't know how to match the colors and you know
Yeah.
do those stuff. So those things actually worth. It's not. It's not just the salesperson's commission.
Oh my gosh.
Writing
Yes.
several
It's the
email
service
sequences,
that you're providing for sure.
exactly. Writing several email sequences, writing a copy to the landing page. Those are things that people understand that costs money.
Oh,
So
of course. Yes. I mean, that's the difference between selling a tool and selling a system, right? And so everybody needs to really clearly understand that. That customer, yeah, they could sign up for the tools and then good luck. Do you know anything about marketing? Do you have the time to do all this stuff? Do you have the experience to doing this stuff? If you do, and that's how you want to spend your time, sign up for a tool and do it. If you're
right,
looking for a service, right? Where somebody is providing a complete system, the tools, the marketing strategy, the marketing assets, the campaigns, the automations, all that stuff designed and supported for your business, that's what you're getting from me, right? So it's a totally different service. And again, for the benefit of everybody else, I know you understand this, Brock, but for the benefit of everybody else, you have to be very, very clear the difference between selling a tool and selling a system. And you have to be very confident in the value that you are providing as a systems provider instead of just a tools provider. And you have to be willing to walk away from a prospect who does not get that. Do not spend your time arguing with any prospect trying to justify the value. If they don't understand the value of what you're providing, then it's the wrong prospect and just move on. There's so many small businesses out there. Do not waste your time fighting over somebody who just wants to use tools. If they want to use tools, let them use tools.
yeah,
That's what a lot of businesses do.
he will not be a good client.
It would not be a good client. No.
He will just get what you built for him and then move
And
away.
then he'll
But
leave. Yes.
and by the way, that's why I just want to make sure that we are speaking about the same thing about writing the email sequence rather
Mhm.
than giving them the templates and have like saying, okay, well, you tweak it yourself, because I think that they won't know how to do that.
I would never, ever, ever recommend that any of you are taking any of my approach, my R6 or anything, and giving it to the customer and saying, tweak it yourself. That is not the intention of it at all. All of those templates that I've created are for you to have something to work with to very quickly create something for those customers that will not take you starting from scratch every time. So that's what those are for. They are not directly for the customer. That's correct.
Right. And like I said in the last call, I'm probably gonna disable the access to the automations, because they can
Yes,
create an automation that triggers something else, and then
correct.
whatever is ruined, and that's how I can justify it. It's like you have I don't know, a machine that if you open it yourself, it voids the warranty, right?
Yeah,
It's basically the
correct.
same thing.
That's absolutely right. That would be my recommendation as well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. You bet. All right, let's see here. Jerry says, I've been seeing a lot of new info on A2P. They want two checkboxes on all forms and you can't require the phone number. I guess the authority is auditing existing numbers. Any thoughts? Jerry, I don't have any like concrete thoughts on this. I honestly have not been paying too much attention to it. I know A2P is kind of a pain in the neck. I know it's also the thing that needs to happen for the industry because we have so many people who are spamming, text, just like we had so many people spamming email, like that they have to. Otherwise, it's just going to kill it for everybody. Um, so, I mean, it is what it is. Just gotta jump through the hoops. We talked about this in the last call. I would just make sure that you have a breadth of service offerings so that you're not just reliant on that whole A2P process to get a customer started. So don't just sell, you know, the services that are going to acquire A2P authorization and process. As an example, the AI employee, the voice AI, does not require that. And there's all kinds of other capabilities that you can offer that don't require that, right? So just make sure that while you're getting through that process, you're also enabling other services for your customers so that they see the value and are getting that value along the way rather than just sitting and waiting. Um, Also says, how do you feel about outbound lead gen with AI voice? And there were some people specifically looking to sue your LLC, which can bankrupt you real fast. Little guy like me can't afford blacklist lines. I would absolutely never be using outbound voice lead gen um, unless the government decides that's legal to do. Um, you're, I mean, one, unless it's like really good, people are going to hate you. And two, um, that's, I mean, that the ability to do endless phone calls for no money outbound is never going to last for very long, because the world will just be inundated with bullshit phone calls, right? You'll never you'll never pick up your phone again. So the government's not going to that's not going to be legal. And thank God, because what a nightmare if it was. So Jerry, I would highly recommend that you do not touch that. Um, Again, just make sure it's really clear for everybody. The way that you should get customers is by adding value and having customers come to you. Of course, doing smart follow up, of course, doing smart prospecting, but not doing anything spammy for outbound prospecting in particular. Okay. Um, Carlos says I'm working from Portugal and Spain. Good for you, Carlos. I wish I was working from Portugal and Spain. Although San Diego's a pretty good spot to be. I'm not complaining. Um, is HighLevel friendly to these customers that are not English savvy? Yes. So Carlos, a couple things. One, HighLevel is very aggressively doing internationalization right now. And I know somebody mentioned Portugal on a call recently when I was on a call with Sean, I think, and mentioned that the accent wasn't just right, but whatever. It's not going to be perfect, okay? And I'm referring to the accent because they actually have internationalized the voice, AI. Um, but in terms of like just access and using the system, I would say it's almost a non-issue, certainly for Spanish speaking at this point. Like I said, they're so aggressively doing internationalization, and all that is going to be really dialed in. But also, just like we were talking about with Brock, like the majority of language that a customer is going to see in the system, um, it's going to be communication with prospects and customers, which is going to come in the language that they're communicating, right? You're going to be in email, in chat, whatever. So actually interacting. And then there's going to be email sequences that go out, text messages, templates that you've set up that are going to go out. You're going to make sure that all of those are written in Spanish or Portuguese for your customers. So that's up to you to just, create the campaigns that way. If you're creating a website for somebody or a landing page for somebody, all the content on there, you're just going to put in Spanish or Portuguese. So 95% of the interaction of your customers with the system are going to be in whatever language you want it to be in. I mean, are there going to be tabs on the left-hand side that could have, English word as the name of the tab? Maybe temporarily in some cases still, but I mean, one, that's not going to stop anybody from using the system and getting the value out of it. You're just going to explain to them, hey, that tab means X, and they're going to know from that point forward. But also, that won't be the case for very long, if it is still the case at all, because again, they're internationalizing the system. Okay. That one we already answered. We all speak the language of business. That's right. That's right, Dawson. I'm going to head over to the group real quick. I don't see any other questions in the comments. Let me just head over to the group and check over there. Brett Brown says he is upgrading. Awesome. Brent. Oh, we have a lot of Brents in the group. We have over 16,000 people in the community now. That's pretty cool. Jim Steimer, new member, welcome. Sukarto asks, services that scale courses, which one for a Go HighLevel tutorial? Okay, so I think it's already been answered in the group, but I just want to answer this for the benefit of anybody else that's listening and considering joining HighLevel with me. What I do not do is I do not try to replicate the basic training that HighLevel already puts out in a very exhaustive way on just how to understand the basics of the system and use the basics of the system. They are putting together volumes of training material and help and support, documentation on all that stuff all day, every day. I'm not trying to replicate that. What I'm trying to do is primarily teach you the business strategy of how to create a successful model in this industry, because that's something that most people do not get right, and it's critical. To teach you sales and marketing strategy, and to teach you productization of your services and the strategies around that. So almost everything that I'm teaching is in those areas. It's not, you need to press these 3 buttons to turn on, voice AI, because you can get that content anywhere and everywhere by 10,000 different people, as well as HighLevel itself. So I want to be clear on that, just so if you're considering working with me, you know what you're getting and why. Okay. Syed says, quick question. In one of the videos, SMS list building as a service, Mike talks about Twilio for phone integration with Go HighLevel, but Go HighLevel has LC phone. Do I need to go with Twilio or LC phone? Yeah, LC phone is your way to go at this point, and that's just because that video was recorded a little while ago. Trigger links, Michael says, has anyone used or had any issues with trigger links not redirecting to the URL associated with the trigger link? I have not seen any issues with that. But it sounds like it is a known issue, actually, that HighLevel knows about. So thank you, Robert. Robert in our community, fantastic part of our team in here answering questions and doing a great job. Scott says, terms for a free website. I was wondering what everyone is using as far as terms for creating the foot in the door websites. How many pages are created, updating pictures and words over time? Does anyone have an example of terms I could view? Scott, I'll see if I can pull up my terms and share them. But let me just cover a handful of things with this. So one, I don't think that you need to get overly complicated about this. So the first thing that I would have is the, like you said, how many pages are created, updating pictures. So I would have a set of features that I would say these are included in this free website offer. Okay. Assuming you're doing it for free, whatever you're doing it for. But you want to put boundaries on any services that you're offering. You want to be very clear about the boundaries. So it is a 7-page website. It's got a homepage, an about us page, a contact us page, whatever. Depending on the industry that you're serving, there are a standard set of pages that apply to 95% of websites in that industry, right? So I would say these are the pages. I would say if you want additional pages, here's how much it costs. It's a one-time fee for us to add and design a new page. I would say here are the features on the pages. There's going to be contact us forms, AI chat. There's going to be a call tracking number. There's going to be, whatever. And then in terms of changes, so if they want to make basic text or image replacement changes, things like that, I have personally always just offered that for free as a service for, paying in our case, we charge $97 a month. For paying their $97 a month fee, we essentially just act as their web help as well. And people love that. And it takes you no time to swap out a paragraph of text with another paragraph of text, swap out a picture with a new picture they gave you. It takes no time. And customers love it because that is probably saving them a lot of headache and money, because they probably in most cases didn't know how to do that in the past. They had somebody that they had to pay to do it. That somebody was probably unreliable, probably overcharged them, and they hated it. And so now they're getting that for free from you. That's an awesome benefit. So I've always done it that way. The last thing that I would have in those terms that I think is very important is if there is going to be any charge for somebody who decides to cancel early, right? So if you build a free website for somebody and it's their $97 a month hosting, and then they want to leave with their website, in 3 months. So you clearly did not make your money back on building them the new website. What I have done is I have had a, essentially a breaking the agreement short-term like leave fee. Hey, if you want to leave and our team now has got to, help you with that process, and we're not obviously not making any money from having the relationship with you, even though we built you a nice website, then we have a $500, fee to help you transfer away, right? And then I would say that after a year, there is no fee. After a year, if you ever want to leave us for whatever reason, no fee. We'll give you your website stuff and you can be on your merry way. So those are the major things that I've had in there. And I've never had any problems with it. And I always take the approach. I'm not saying that this is right. I'm not a lawyer, one. And I'm sure 99% of lawyers would disagree with me. But I would hop into Chat GPT, say, hey, I would like a customer friendly terms of service for this service that covers these major points, the ones I just outlined for you, and have it write up something. Just make sure it's just normal language, very easy to understand. Doesn't come across as, a lawyer with, nasty teeth and fangs is going to come after you for anything. Just be easy to do business with. It always pays off. Do you use HL Pro Tools or Extendly? Jerry, I personally do not use either of them, but I think that they're both really good at what they do. I wouldn't hesitate to use them. I have my own team and we just haven't found a need for it. I know you're not a lawyer, but any suggestions on T&C and privacy policy for your business? So there is a gentleman in the HighLevel community. I'm sure if you just do a quick search or ask in the HighLevel community, you'll find him. He's a lawyer and has a successful agency working with lawyers, and he sells a pre-done terms and conditions, privacy policy, all the stuff that you need for your business. He sells it for, can't remember how much, much less than you would pay a lawyer. So you could get that. Or what I have always done, and again, this is not legal advice, I'm not a lawyer, but what I have always done is I go and I find a business that I know is doing well, is successful. So let's say HubSpot or HighLevel itself. And I download their terms of service, their privacy policy, and I do edit and replace with my business name and their business name. And of course, go through, read it, find the stuff that you're like, oh, this clearly doesn't apply to my business, take it out, throw it in a Chat GPT and say, hey, could you write an original and customer friendly version of this? That's what I've always done. Saves you a fortune on legal fees. Again, 99% of lawyers would tell me that's stupid. And that was not legal advice, but maybe that helps you. All right, everybody, I've got to run to this lunch, so I've got to go. Thank you so much for being here today. Always appreciate you. I hope you found it valuable. Thanks for being a part of the community, and thanks for your business. We will have office hours again next week. And in the meantime, you can ask questions in our community. As I said, Robert in our community is doing a fantastic job of making sure that we're responding to things quickly. And anything that needs to get bubbled up to me, he'll make sure and do that as well. Also, you've got our support team at help@servicesatscale.com for anything related to course access, billing, any of that type of stuff. And we will see you on our next office hours call. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your week and get out there and this way. Sell. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.